In this episode of Testimony Musician Story, presented by Sound Seekers, we speak to music producer Fvmeless and rapper Hilgy about their joint album, Contentment, dropping soon. Additionally, we discuss the cop murder of George Floyd and how white people need to speak up. Hilgy also raps and breaks down Tables, Dopamine, Reset, and Jonah in the four-song breakdown. I am Galika Brown, and this is Sound Seekers Presents Testimony, a Musician Story.
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in Nebraska. I actually moved around a lot, but I never left Nebraska. And then I moved to Omaha about 5 years ago. Came up for college, and then I just don't really see myself leaving there. But yeah, I grew up in like small town Nebraska mostly. Which, if you're not in Omaha, then pretty much everything else in Nebraska is small town.
Yeah.
Even Omaha itself is a small city, but yeah, so I grew up in small town, and I don't know why, but like I just always have loved rap music. It's weird because everybody around me just would listen to country 24/7, so I'm thankful that God let me like rap music.
So
But
even your friends, and did you have any friends
yeah,
that listen to rap?
yeah, I did. As I got into middle school, yeah, high school, middle school, they started to. It really depended like where I lived too. Like
Okay.
some towns I'd live in, and all they were just total like country people, and then some other towns, yeah, it was just straight rap. So I had a lot of different friends growing up just because I moved to different towns and just had to make new friends. So honestly, it was my dad that influenced me a lot. Like he brought home like to some of the first like Christian rap music in my life. I was like, I don't even know, like maybe 5 or 6, and I remember him giving me some Christian hip hop albums, and so like he really kind of
Okay.
influenced me in that way. So yeah,
Okay. We'll come back to that. Um, you said that you moved around a lot. Why?
it was mostly because of my dad's job and his pursuit of different jobs. Really, uh, kind of just took us around a lot. We were really only in one spot for like 1 to 2 years, maybe 3 max, and we'd move. Yeah, I just moved a lot growing up, and really pretty much lived like every corner of Nebraska. It's kind of weird that we didn't even leave Nebraska, but yeah, yeah. So
Was that
that was pretty
challenging
much
for you? Were you like an introverted kid or was
yeah,
nice?
yeah,
Was that
yeah. No, it was difficult. I mean, growing up, I was actually pretty extroverted, and and then once I got into middle school, I had moved probably, I don't know, like 5, 6 times, something like that. I don't know exactly. And at that point, I kind of started, and looking back now, I realized that I started kind of shutting people out because I had this mindset of like, well, I'm gonna get close with you, and then I'm gonna bounce.
yeah.
And I didn't realize it in the time, so then I started to really become introverted, and like I was just would rather be by myself, and not knowing it, I wasn't like investing in relationships or friendships because I felt like I was just going to move again. And then it happened, in middle school, I moved a couple of times, and in high school, I moved a couple of times. So it was just like
Yeah.
this weird, like, I don't know, something that was instilled in me that was like, you're only going to be here for a little bit and then you're going to leave. So it's something that now that I'm out of college and all that, like trying to kind of get over and just like invest in friendships that are right in front of you, even if they don't, what I mean? Like, even if they don't last forever. So it's
Hmm.
something, yeah, it's weird because I definitely would say that I'm more introverted now. And
Okay.
I do like to be by myself,
Hmm.
and that is, refueling and stuff. But yeah, so it kind of took a toll on me, but I also see how God used it to really form me, and it was there was a lot of learning that went along with moving and stuff. So mhm.
And were you raised a Christian?
I was, yeah. So I was, I think, 5 years old when I accepted Jesus into my heart, and really from that point forward, I've been a follower of Jesus. And my parents, I was really lucky. I mean, they raised me to read the Bible and go to church and all that, and find community in church with other believers. And so, yeah, at 5 years old, like that's pretty much all I can remember is like a life, following Jesus. But then, and I was honestly pretty like sheltered and like kind of protected until like middle school, and that's kind of when I started to, for the first time, like question things and like had to develop my own faith, and instead of just what my parents, kind of made me do as a kid. But yeah, I started to kind of roll with the wrong crowd and make decisions that were not good decisions. And honestly, with the whole moving thing, if I would have stayed in one place, I would have continued with those friendships that I was choosing. I honestly don't think I would have been where I'm at today. And because of the friends that I was with, especially like in middle school, and then I moved once in high school, and then developed friendships that were not good then. And I think if I would have just stayed put in one place, like I would have totally chose the wrong path and went down that path a long way,
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay, so it's like you said, it's a blessing. It all worked out that you were moving around
Right.
often then.
Mm-hmm.
So junior high, like what types of crowds, I mean, were you engaging with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, well, so middle school is kind of where I felt I was really just trying to, be accepted, as most middle schoolers were. And I tried to find that acceptance in sports, and I loved sports my whole life, and I was just like obsessed with every sport that I could play. But I wasn't like that amazing, honestly. I just loved playing, and
Yeah.
so I tried to fit in with the popular like athletes, but I just never really did. Like they just didn't really fully accept me, and that point is where I really kind of started to make the wrong decisions in the sense of hanging out with kids that are smoking weed and drinking and stuff like that. And again, like I said, thankfully I didn't get too deep into it, but I
Hmm.
did start on that path, and had some experiences with some friends. It was like around the eighth grade, going into freshman year. um, and then, like I said, and then I moved and kind of just tried to find that same crowd when I moved
Mm.
into high school, and kind of continued the same things. But yeah, I mean, it was weird because I mean, I think a lot of believers have gone through this, but just the two sided. I was totally living a two sided life where I'd go to youth group every Wednesday, but then also go hang out with these dudes that just want to go drink and smoke and stuff like that. And I knew it was wrong. I knew it wasn't right, but it's like they accepted me, and that's just what I needed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, not that they were bad people by any means, but just, yeah, yeah, those few years were just kind of my rowdiest years, I guess. But yeah.
Do you feel that there was a point where you decided, okay, I'm moving, I have a new clean slate, I'm not going to try to gravitate towards
Hmm.
that other crowd, I'm going to try to stay like on the straight and
Hmm.
narrow?
Yeah, I'd say my uh, junior year, so then I moved again, and um, at the time it was just like it felt like the biggest, you know, problem ever. Like I was just super upset at my parents, and because I only had 2 more years left, and I thought I had these great friends, and we moved, and it was like, I was telling you the contrast between the towns that are just like total country people and the towns that like hip hop and stuff like that. I was in one place where they liked rap, and we were pretty alike, and I had a decent amount of friends. And then I moved, and it was, I mean, total, just like everybody lives on a farm. Everybody wants to just stay in that same town and farm their whole life,
Mm.
and like, and so not only did I move and leave my friends, but then I went to a place where like I felt like I just didn't fit in at all. And so at that point, it was almost like I kind of have to just start over, and like, and honestly, I didn't want to really even try because I didn't feel like I fit in, you know?
Yeah.
So it wasn't as much as like me choosing it, but it definitely started my junior year. And I just kind of distanced myself from a lot of people. I found a few good friends that were there that were Christians, and then I kind of just decided like I don't want to try and party, because that was a huge part of the culture there was, you know, literally just going to party any chance, you know, you can, because it's this tiny town. There's literally nothing to do, you know?
Yeah.
So, but at that point, like, um, God definitely turned my life around. I started a FCA program at the school,
Okay.
which is Fellowship of
Fellowship of
Christian
Christian
Athletes.
Athletes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one was.
So, yeah, so and that was something that I'd felt God telling me to do since I was like a freshman, but I didn't actually start it until I was a senior. But like my junior year is when I was like, man, I really feel like we need this, and I, you know, I need some community and you know, stuff like that. And so finally, I did it my senior year, and at that point, like everybody kind of, I mean, there was like seriously like 100 kids in my high school, so it's like everybody knew where I stood with my faith, and so I really had to kind of step up and own it and act like it too. So that was a huge part of my life where things turned around. So
Sweet. Okay.
mhm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. All right. So you pretty much, I guess, kind of almost like, I mean, now you have a conscience as
Hmm.
a teenager, almost adult decision to follow Christ versus when you were 5.
Hmm.
And that was
Right.
like around your junior year.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Now,
Hmm.
um, is it wrong of me when I think of like Nebraska? Like every time you talk about Nebraska and the cornfields and all that, all I think of is a movie like Hoosiers and Footloose.
Hmm. Yeah.
Kind of like that
No,
environment.
that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, in your life personally, you're married as well?
I am. Yeah.
Newlywed?
Tomorrow is 1 year. Actually, tomorrow's
Okay,
one
well,
year. So,
congratulations.
yeah. Thank you.
And how did
Mhm.
you meet your wife?
I met her in college. We both went to Omaha for college.
Okay.
We went to Nebraska Christian College. So
And what
hmm
did you already graduate?
I did, yeah. I started with going for youth ministry, but then I finished with a degree that's called Christian ministry, basically.
Okay.
But
So
yeah.
while in college, is that when you really started picking up your like producing? Like, let's
Hmm.
transition to how you got into
Yeah,
actually making music.
yeah. So it was actually in high school, my senior year. I started making beats on GarageBand. I actually went to a Lecrae concert. And then I was just like super inspired. I went home and I was like, I know I can't rap, but I was just watching all these YouTube videos, and I found videos that Gavi put up. And
Okay.
Gavi was putting out these videos of like him in the studio making beats and all, you know,
Yeah.
it was kind of like a documentary, I think. And I was like, whoa, like I didn't know this was a thing. So started making beats, and they were so bad. They were horrible. And I just kept doing it though. Like I
Yeah.
loved it. It was just fun, and met some online producers that kind of helped teach me and guide me. And then,
Are they
yeah,
on
what's that?
those producers? Are they in the Christian hip hop world or just
Yeah. Um, one of the first one was a dude. He went by Kevmo. He's actually not producing anymore, or because he was a producer, great producer, and he produced for, I mean, a lot of other people. I can't remember all his placements, but he produced for a lot of CHH artists, and then he became an artist himself. But then he's now a police officer and kind of put music on pause. But he was the first guy that really taught me a lot.
okay?
And then I got connected with Harrison McQuaid, um, and yeah, we just worked a lot together. And he still produces for a lot of people. But yeah, yeah, and so from then on, I just kept, yeah, in college, I just kept chasing it. And kind of from the start, I tried to sell some beats a little bit. I tried to get some placements, but I hated like waiting on people to like, I would send some beats and they wouldn't even reply for like, probably because they weren't good, but still I was like, I hated like not, nothing happening. So I was like, man, I want to be an artist, like I still don't rap. I don't sing anything, but I want to get other people on my beats and put it out as a song. And at the time, I didn't know anybody else doing it. So I was like, let's just try it, and so I'd make some beats and then I'd pay for artists. I'd come up with a concept and paid to get artists on my song and then started releasing them. And so I started doing that in 2015, I think was the first song I released. And it did all right. And then I released a song called Chasing, and it's done really well. I mean, it's my most streamed song. It's about to hit 1 million, I think. And I was just like, holy crap, like I had no idea what I was doing. I was just throwing stuff out, and like now listening to it back, I'm like, man, the mix is horrible, the master sucks, like the beat is like, but like for some reason, people liked it, and people still bring it up, which is just crazy. Like I had no clue that, I was just kind of throwing stuff out, and then that really launched. Like after that, people started noticing a little bit more, so I started working with more and more artists, and yeah, so
That's
that's kind of
awesome.
how it really started. But
Okay. Well, since we're talking about music now, actually, Hilgy is in the waiting room, so I'll go ahead and bring him in.
Perfect.
So, how did the two of you hook up?
Yeah, so man, this is my perspective. I think yours is probably the same. But basically, I was running a beat sale, and I was really trying to like sell some beats because, like I was telling you, once I started like releasing my own songs, I didn't really sell beats and stuff. So I just started selling like on BeatStars, and I was messaging people, and just a few days before, my friend Jay Crumb posted about Hilgy and was like, this guy's next. And so I followed him, and then like I messaged him. I was like, hey man, I got some beats and I love your stuff, because I went and listened to his music and thought it was dope. So then he bought like, I don't know how many, I don't know, like a handful of beats, like 5 beats or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But then he sent me what he had recorded, and I was like, holy crap, dude, this guy's crazy. Like he was just like pumping them out. And so then I think like half of them, is what really made us start this album process, actually, which is just crazy. But yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, no, same thing. I just like, I heard his beats, like, and I bought a bunch of them. I loved them. They were like the hardest hitting beats I've ever heard, and I was like, dang, I got to write to these. And then we just formed a relationship, started pumping out songs. So yeah.
So was this fairly recently then?
Yeah, it was kind of recent. It was probably like what, 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago.
Oh,
something
wow.
like that.
Dang, that's crazy. So for you guys to like build a relationship like that, okay. So the Tables and Dopamine, those are two of the songs that, did he buy those ones, or ones you just had in your like how does that work? If he's buying beats and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, let's do an album together, are you still charging those beats?
No. So actually all the beats that, like we just were like, hey, I won't charge you for anything and let's just do this together, and we'll split it 50-50. And so then we just started doing that. And actually Tables and Dopamine were 2 beats that after those first beats that he had bought, I made those. I think, well, honestly, so we started working, and then this whole quarantine thing happened. And we both had a ton of time on our hands. And so I just started like making a ton of beats every day, and I was sending them to him. And then pretty much every beat I'd send him, he'd send me like a verse or even like a full song like the next day. And so I was just like, dude, like you're crazy. So I think we finished our portion of the album within 2 weeks, which is like the fast. we were just going to do an EP, and then we had 10 songs, and we are like, well, let's just put these all out. So, yeah, it was just a crazy, like, we just flowed with each other really well, and it just really happened really quickly. So, yeah, it was cool. But yeah, so Tables and Dopamine both I made custom for afterwards.
And Hilgy, how does that work? Do you hear the beats and then they inspire you to just write so rapidly?
Yeah, so like before we even kind of hooked up and started doing music together, like I had this theme in my head. It's been in my head for a while. Like this word I feel like God kept giving me was contentment. So I always knew I wanted to make an album called Contentment. But yeah, how the process works is like I hear the beat and then I just write something that is like kind of contentment based, and it comes out in different forms. It comes out in like a lot of different forms. But yeah, that's how I write. Is like the beat is like I can't write without a beat. I've tried to do it before. It's like the worst process ever. Like I have to hear the beat. It puts me in a mood, and then I write to it. So yeah.
All right. Well, are you able to rap a verse from Tables right now?
Let's see. Tables. I have like a little snippet I have memorized.
Okay.
because we just put it out recently. I'm still trying to memorize all the lyrics and stuff.
So
but yeah,
well, this
I have a
is
little snippet.
well, before we do that, so this is the section that we call the 4-song breakdown.
Okay.
So we'll have you do Tables, Dopamine, and then I guess 2 of the songs that you guys haven't released yet, but by the time we put this out, they would be released.
Okay. So yeah, the Tables little 4-bar thing I have is I've been on the road too long. The Pro Tools broke, but folks need hope. They got anxiety, but cope with dope. Why you think it listen to NF? Why you think we go to service, never hear the message? Attention span gone. The Instagram one, we give the bread off, the likes to get on. We build our kingdom, but where is God's son? I don't need no spot at your table. I'm here to see his will done. Basically saying it's so easy for us to build our kingdom like through Instagram and like, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. But if we're not building up the kingdom of God, it's all void. It means absolutely nothing. So it's like, I don't want to sit at any table where people are building their own thing. You know what I mean? If it's not connected to the kingdom of God, it's like, I don't need you at my table. Me and Fvmeless are going to build our own tables. So that's basically what that.
Perfect. Fvmeless, when you heard, so you gave him the beat and then he came up with that concept and then you just go with it, or do you guys kind of like go back and forth and like, okay, I like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This song actually, so like Hilgy was saying, with the album, so in past projects, a lot of times I'm, pretty involved with concepts or themes and stuff, but he really had this theme of the album working, for a while before we even started working. So most every song, I think you kind of just pumped out the idea and the theme for. This one though was a track that I made a beat and I sent it to Hilgy. We both thought it was crazy. We wanted to have like a great turn up track for the album, and then we started talking with Jay Crumb, and so we actually started a group chat. I sent the beat, and we told Crumb like, "Hey man, like this is the concept of the album, but we would just love for you to like start this and you create." And a lot of times, like I love to just like I might give an artist a theme or a topic, but I love to keep it kind of broad and allow them to just do whatever they feel led to do. Because as a creative, I work best when I can just do what I feel led to do a lot of times. So I also want to set up other people to do the same thing and not always confine them to like such a small box if they're not feeling it. So what we did was just send it to Chrome. It was like, hey, this is the album concept. Can you come up with something that would fit within that album? And so then he came up with Tables, and then the idea of making our own table and not seeking what other people have already built and trying to be accepted by other people. Like, let's just accept ourselves and like build up our own team. So that's how this one started, actually.
Perfect. And then Hilgy, where do you live?
Sorry, I had to unmute. I currently live in San Antonio, Texas. Originally from Chicago, Illinois. I moved here like 3 years ago.
So then the two of you have never met in person then?
Nope.
Just corresponding over phone and email pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. And can we get a verse from Dopamine?
Whatever happened to the American dream? We're blinded by the cream. We can't see what we're supposed to be. Nobody's focusing, overloaded with dopamine. Instagram's the final act. Watch me reveal the opening. You best believe that I mastered the art of passionately crafting words are coming to you. I'm fresh off the arc. Me and Mark had the neighborhood on lock at the dark. So many memories, man. Where do I start? Growing up, I used to hang with older kids, shooting dice on the bus. I don't know who role it is. I don't know who role it is. Smoking just to cope with stress. Smoking turned to money. Money turned to pills. Pills to poker chips. Rest in peace to Victor. Never thought we'd all lose him. Playing gin at 2 a.m. Look how big the pot's brewing. I talked about God to him. What was I doing? Popping Oxycontin while I'm preaching. Ain't no reason Victor gave his life to Jesus before death. How does God do it? Chose to use me, and despite my filthiness, maybe that's called grace. I swear I ain't used to this. Had to do my own research to make sure I see it ain't about what I did for him. It's what he's done for me. So yeah, I think that's all I can remember there. But yeah, it's like my story about my drug addiction days, like popping Oxycontin, playing cards. Like, yeah, I was a dumb kid.
All right. Well, we'll get into that story later then. And what's the third song you want to do?
This is Jonah. I work hard, I won't quit. Grabbing the stars, all six. Put them in a shopping cart, all six. They don't get these bars. They all sick. All six for Orion's belt. Ideas with no clientele, like wiping counters, no pine cell. Ain't no point to it. Yeah, I point to him. Hilgy, I thought Orion's belt only had 3. That is so odd. You can get double when you're working twice as hard. Don't fight the bars. I'm psychological, no pun, man. I was lost on a bad path. I got scars, ass Kanban. It was dark, no light. I was awake deep in the night, driving to Indiana for some Oxycontin. I was living rotten. I know God is sovereign, but I wasn't stopping. I just kept on driving, then cracked the hotel door open. Dap the homie, he smoking. Packed the bags and we roll in. My heart was full of emotion. Please help me.
That was Jonah. Why the title and what is that about?
Jonah's basically, because I feel like that a lot growing up. Like Jonah in the Bible, like feel called to give this message or do some great things, but always like trying to run away or like dodge God's calling. So I really feel like that was I relate to that growing up. Like I always felt like God was there. Like I always felt like he was real, but I would just like literally ran to drugs or like ran to relationships or ran to poker games, and like I was just basically running the whole time. And so yeah, and at the end I kind of just share more about my testimony and how God intervened. So yeah, if you give me like 30 seconds, I can pull out lyrics.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm like parking in my house right now. Sorry.
That's cool.
Yeah, I could pull out lyrics really quick.
So while you do that, we can talk about this 10-song joint album. Is there a title for it?
Yep.
Contentment.
Okay, so it is going to be Contentment. And what are you guys doing? Releasing a song a week, and then what, on the 11th week, dropping the album?
Close. Yeah, we're actually releasing, I think, 7 singles.
Okay.
To lead up to the album, and then there's 3 songs that are just exclusive to the album. The first one, the intro, is the title track, Contentment, and that is just going to be on the album. There's a interlude, like 40-second little like demo track that we included. That's about in the middle of the project, and then the outro, which is another like minute 30 song. And so those 3 songs will be on the album that are not going to be released as singles, but the rest of them we're dropping one a week leading up to the album.
So when is that release date going to be then?
June 3rd is the album release date.
So June 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Or July.
Or sorry,
July 3rd.
Oh.
July 3rd. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good.
I'm always doing that. I'm always mixing it up.
No, it's all good.
But yeah.
Okay. And you have your lyrics ready? Are you still looking?
Yeah. I got you. Sorry, I got the. No, I'm good. All right, so yeah, reset. Contentment. We don't need to spaz out. We could choose to be grateful for all the things we have now. We could choose to want the thing our neighbor has, or choose to let go of that thought and want the thing our Savior has. Pay me back, that's mentality. If you black casualty, land of free, no accountability. If we had it, we would give God all the glory, but we want it for ourselves. We don't want to change the story. We want safe house, big gate, control in place. That bread in that bank, F God is my way. Don't like it, there's highway. We're called to something different, wrong for our decisions while we call ourselves a Christian and agrees with spirit. We want to preach the word, but we don't hear it. Godliness pretenders, we want benefits with no surrender. Here we go again. Hilgy's out of line again. They ask me how I know all this. It's because I spent time with him. Round and round again, here we go. Or round and round again, nothing changes, here we go. We're stuck physically until we focus on the spiritual. We need a miracle, contentment in our hearts. We cannot move forward until we go back to the start.
Awesome, man. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about that. We have kind of some controversial lines up in there.
Yeah, resets is basically about like we're so focused on, we just focus on the wrong things as a country. Like we need to be focused on the one who created the country, where we get so caught up in like ourselves and sin and racism. Like it's like, man, it's so whack. It's whack out here. We need a reset. We need to hit the reset button and look to the source. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Well, it's kind of rare and unusual to hear our white brethren bring up race relations. So why the decision to do that?
Oh man, why? Because that's what God would do. I mean, even like just today, just all the stuff going on today, what happened in Minneapolis, like what happened was murder today in the streets.
Wait, hold on. What did I miss? What happened today?
Did you hear about the story that happened?
No, I only know
George Floyd.
No, there was another story, something else I was focused on this morning in New York. It wasn't a murder. It was just What was this?
Oh, I heard that one in New York too, about that lady in the park. That was crazy. But no, George Floyd, like this cop had his knee on his neck, so he was saying, "I can't breathe" for 8 minutes, and he ended up dying. And people are saying like, "Oh, let me wait to see it when all the facts come out." Like the fact is that this man is dead, and empathy needs to come first. Like we need to try to understand where people of color are coming from, as opposed to saying, let me wait and see till all the facts come out. That's ignorant, that's racist, that's not right, that's not okay. We need white people in leadership, not even in leadership, just to speak up. Just like, yo, this is wrong. Like straight up. Like what? This dude had his knee on his neck for 8 minutes. He was handcuffed.
Wow.
Like what? I was hurting earlier today. I was like, I had to step out of work after seeing that video. But yeah, it's crazy.
See, I mean,
resets, man. It's about that.
I mean, it's just ridiculous that there's so many stories that no one can possibly keep up. Like here you are, like breaking news to me in the middle of an interview. Like what?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. We gotta do better. It's crazy.
But. All right. Well, reset sounds dope. I love your flow, by the way. And Fvmeless, your beats are sick for real. Before I get you off the line, Fvmeless, can you tell me how God's presence looks in your life? And it's a twofold question, if you can address it personally and then musically.
Yeah. Man, God's presence in my life, I mean, is huge. I mean, I think I lean on him for everything. And I mean, even just like conversations daily, it's like it all just points back to him and my time spent with him. And like I'll read one thing in the morning, and then it's like it's almost guaranteed every day. Like he provides a conversation that's just like, whoa, like I just read this morning, like this is crazy, like this is, let me tell you about God. And so like even just like in these small little things, man, he's been speaking to me a lot through his word. But then, yeah, I mean, through some just different challenges, like financially, especially with all this COVID-19 stuff, and it's just been weird times, you know. Me and my wife have really just been leaning on him even more. I think when we go through hard times, it's like, you know, he wants us to lean on him, and that's where we see him a lot, you know. So it's been cool because through trials, I believe that, you know, I grow closer to God through trials, you know. And so this season of life has been pretty cool. But yeah, and then musically, creatively, like I really believe that when I'm closest to God, that I'm my most creative. And so if you see me not being creative, you should check up on me, because I'm probably not being spending time with God, because man, like I'm just inspired by his word. You know, I love to just read, and I'm just fascinated by studying the Bible. It's kind of how I worship. Other people have different ways, but I just love to read and, like, you know, really connect with him that way. And I'm just super inspired by what he'll reveal through text and stuff. And so, yeah, like, I mean, I'll just be reading, and like I get this image in my head, and that might inspire me to make, you know, I don't do like graphic design professionally, but I will do it. And especially like when I'm just inspired like that, it just like flows out of me. And so it's, yeah, it's really cool, because like I said, the more I'm connected to God, the more I feel like I'm creative and inspired and like motivated to actually to make art, you know. So yeah,
That's dope. I mean, I like the point how you said, if you don't see me creating a lot, check up on me.
yeah.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm going to have you leave the meeting, but before you do, is there
Cool.
anything, Hilgy, that you feel the two of you should discuss while you're both on the line?
Yeah, Riley's the dopest producer ever. This is the best beats in the world. This man's going.
Jeez.
This man is going places. No, but yeah, just thankful for him. Thankful for Riley. Thankful for this interview. You know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Thanks for having us. This has been fun. July 3rd is the new album, but yeah, this has been awesome. Thanks again for your time. This is sweet.
All right, Eric. So now that we've talked about music, we're going to go backwards, and
cool.
I want to get to know you and your story a little bit more. So you said you were born and raised in Chicago?
Yeah. Born and raised in Chicagoland area. Yeah, for most of my life. Yeah, lived out there. Recently moved out here to San Antonio like 3 years ago to get married and pursue music full time. And yeah, so it's been good.
Okay. And were you raised as a Christian?
So I was raised Catholic majority of my life, and I always like, it was funny, like going to Catholic mass, like I always wanted to like lift my hands up and like praise God. Like if Jesus died for my sins, like I want to lift my hands up and be like, thank you, Jesus. But like nobody did that in
Yeah,
Catholic
that's
mass.
not happening in Catholic mass.
Yeah.
Not at
So
all.
I was like, yo, this, and like nobody talked after church or after mass, and I was like, yo, like I feel like we're supposed to like be at least friends with, like if we like
be friends.
I think we should talk to each other after
Yeah.
mass. And like I was so confused, and I was like asking my mom questions, and like I don't know, and I just started asking the priest questions after mass. Like I was a curious kid.
Yeah.
I was like, what do we do like with all the young people that aren't following Jesus? Like how do we reach them? And he gave me this like weird bogus answer, and I was like something's not adding up. Like this is not right. So I remember going to like every like church, every Bible teaching church in my city to find answers. And I would talk to pastors, and I would be like, hey, what about XYZ? What about this? And they're like, hey, come to the youth group. And I was like, oh, bet. Like, and I would go to youth group, and there'd be like 500 kids that believed what I believe.
Okay.
And, like, we're friends and happy. So like I ended up transitioning from the Catholic faith to Christianity.
So around what age was that then?
That was, I believe it was like I was 16. I was 16 or so.
And you did this on your own, not with your parents like guiding you to go do this.
Yeah, it was on
That's
my
sweet.
own. I was searching, and plus I was just battling internally in the midst of all this too. Like I was doing, I got into poker games as when I was really young. I used to play poker games at my neighbor's house at age 12,
With for
13.
money, gambling?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
I used to
And you
gamble, and
had
then they put,
money at 13 to gamble?
yeah, it was funny. I remember having like $60 in allowance, and you would play these like $60 tournaments, and I won like three in a row. So I would won
Mm.
like $600 one time, $900, like
Wow.
1,200, and then I was like the richest kid in like sixth grade. Like I was like, so yeah, and then I progressed, like played a lot of cards, and then I ended up getting into some drugs at these card games. Um, and yeah, I was doing a lot of crazy things.
So what
Um,
type of drugs were you into?
um, so the drugs came about. So the drugs came about. Okay, it's kind of a long story, but I'll keep it short. I was freshman year of high school, first day of high school. Came home, huge stomach ache. Ended up going to the doctor. A couple months later, they diagnosed me with Crohn's disease.
Mm.
Then they put me on like a bunch of like morphine and stuff like that, like a morphine drip. So I was, I would hit this button, this morphine button, over and over again. And then when I
Mm.
got out of the hospital, they gave me some Vicodin. And then I remember, like, I remember searching for after that whole bottle ran out of Vicodin. I remember I was at a poker game. I was like 17, and this guy was selling Vicodin. So I was like, oh, like I want some, because like I like needed it. I like really wanted it. Um, I didn't need it, but like I was like addicted at that point because the morphine and Vicodin they gave me. And then it progressed into OxyContin, and then OxyContin progressed into cocaine for a bit. And that's kind of like the pinnacle of my testimony. I like overdosed on cocaine one night. Fast forward, age 20, overdosed on cocaine. I was driving home. I was like crying my eyes out because I know God's real and I know I'm supposed to follow him, but I'm like coked out of my mind doing all these drugs. And I remember God, like, I felt like God was speaking to me, like, Eric, like, bring my people back, like, bring my people home. And I'm like, what? I can't even take care of myself. I'm like screaming as I'm driving home
Mm.
to God. I'm like, I can't even take care of myself. You want me to like help your people? What are you talking about? And then he's like, tell him about my son. Oh, hold on. Who's that? And anyway, I get home, and then I remember going to my backyard, and I'm crying out to God for like 2 hours. And I give him my life right there. Like, I'm like, hey, like, God, I can't live this life anymore. I'm going to die. Like, something needs to change. Like, I need you to show up in my life, like right now. And I'll let go of everything. I'll let go of all the drugs, whatever. And the next day I got invited to a Bible study, got invited to a youth group, and I've been doing music ever since. And I haven't touched a drug for 10 years. So yeah, praise God, man.
That's crazy. Wait, the very next day you got invited to a Bible study
Yep.
by
Yep.
someone you know?
Yeah.
Or
So
what? Okay.
the very next day I used to play basketball at Export, Mrs. Open Gym or whatever. And then this guy invites me to a Bible study. And then he was like, you want to go to Bible study? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I remember in the Catholic faith, this is where the transition happened. In the Catholic faith, you like only the priest can interpret the Bible. And I was like, I used to say no to Bible studies back in the day because I didn't want to like offend my Catholic faith. But at this point, I was like, I was ready for anything. I was like, absolutely, I'll go. And I remember hearing the word of God being preached, like from like a person for the first time. And I was like, everything was making sense. And then
Mm-hmm.
they invited me to church. My friend invited me to church the next day. And then I went and I just kept going. And I just kept meeting people and doors kept opening and and I feel like this huge weight just lifted off my shoulders, this weight of like religious bondage and like my sin, my shame, everything. Like, so anyway, that's kind of like a really short version of everything.
Okay. So
But
ever
yeah,
since then, that was 20. How old are you now?
that was 2010. 8/22/2010 is the day I gave my life to
Okay.
Jesus. And I just turned 31 a little bit ago. So yeah, almost 10, 11 years clean.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank
That
you.
is a powerful testimony.
Thank you.
And just to verify, your phone is horizontal right now, right?
Is it?
Is it? No, I'm asking you, is it
Oh,
horizontal or is it vertical?
yeah, it's horizontal. It's horizontal.
Perfect. Okay. And are you newly married as well? or you said you moved to San Antonio 3 years ago for
Yeah.
marriage. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Moved here about 3 years ago. I'm almost 2 years married. So yeah, kind of new.
So
But
then was it a long distance relationship that you moved for? How did all this work out?
yeah. So yeah, a few years back, I was sitting in a Starbucks. I was sitting in a Starbucks editing a video because I have a company, Hilgy Films. I do a lot of video editing for artists, and I was just in Starbucks editing a video, and I was on Instagram just taking a break, and then I remember seeing this picture that my friend posted. Her name is V Rose.
Oh
She's
yeah,
also
I
an
know V.
artist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interviewed
she's
her
super.
before.
Oh, dope.
And she's
Yeah,
from Sacramento, where I'm from.
yeah. She just moved to somewhere in Texas. She posted something the other day. She
Oh,
just moved to
okay.
Texas. I'm like, I gotta find out where. Probably Houston. But yeah, she posted a picture at a church conference with this girl, Blessy, which is now my wife. And
Okay.
Blessy, yeah, she spoke there at the church conference, and I saw a picture. I was like, dang, this girl's like super fine. Like, and I don't usually DM. I like don't do. I don't do that. I don't DM
You
anybody.
don't slide into the DMs.
Yeah, I don't sign the DMs, but like this girl is something different. Like I checked her profile, I was like, dang, like she's so fine. Like, and she like loves God. She speaks to young teenage girls about God, and I was like, dang, this is amazing. And I DM'd her, and I was like, hey, so you speak at conferences, blah blah blah. I was just talking to her. We started talking back and forth, and then the connection point was, it was like a couple months later after we were talking, she had a speaking gig in Chicago. And then I was like, oh dang, like we should meet up for coffee because we've been talking for a couple of months by now. And then yeah, thankfully she agreed and went to coffee in Chicago and hit it off. Started doing long distance.
Okay.
So
And I saw your pictures on Instagram, and yes, she is very attractive as well. She's Middle Eastern. What?
southern. She's Indian. She
Indian.
lives. She's from South India.
Okay. And man, well, her story sounds interesting now because
Yeah.
there's
She
not
used
too
to
many
smuggle.
Christian Indians out there.
She used to smuggle Bibles. As a kid, like
What?
to Saudi. Yeah, like she like would put them on her parents would put them underneath her dress, and like she was like really young. She'd be like, "Go run, Sangeeta, run across." And yeah, she has a crazy testimony.
Wow.
Crazy testimony.
Okay. And I mean, I'm guessing since she's there, I'm just curious because I lived in Houston for a while, so I know a little bit about the South, and I'm from California. And it's
Uh-huh.
totally different when it comes to dating interracially from
Hmm.
California to the South. Have you
Uh-huh.
experienced anything like that down there?
Um, no, not really. I'm trying to think. No, honestly, it's been great. Like everywhere we go together, like I actually hear people compliment her. They're always like, "Dang, like." Well, they don't say like "dang," but that's just me. But they'll be like, "Hey, bless you, your skin's really pretty," like, or "You guys look really good together," and we're just like, "Oh, thanks." So yeah, I haven't experienced anything crazy like that,
Well, that's good.
but yeah.
And how does God's presence look in your life personally?
It looks like quiet time with him. Like every morning, I listen to a devo. I'll get really quiet. I'll get in His Word, because like I feel like that's the only way I can hear His voice. Because all the distractions. So how does it look? It just, I mean, it looks like me just spending time with Him, getting in His Word, and but not only listening to what I believe He's saying to me, being obedient to it. Because that's the mark of a disciple. It's like it's listening to the Word of God and then obedience to it. I don't want to just do one or the other. So it's just really trying to be obedient to what God's saying. Whether it's like, hey, go talk to this person, or hey, somebody in your neighborhood, like go knock on their door and like invite them over. And I'm like, what? That's weird. Like I'm good right here with Leslie just eating.
Yeah.
So how does it look? It just time with Him and then acting it out.
Okay.
So
And this project that you have with Fvmeless,
mhm.
is this, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about your music background. So is
No,
this
it's okay.
your
It's
first
okay.
project or do you have anything
No,
prior?
it's okay. It's my 10th, but I took down a bunch of albums because like I just felt like no one was listening. So I'm just
Okay.
like, you know what? I'm gonna take these down. A lot of them they'll never be seen the light of day again. But yeah, it's but this is my favorite one. This is by far, man. I am really excited about this one. Like really excited about this one. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
And outside of this, have you been working on any other music, or has this just been your focus?
Yeah, so I'm working on a lot of singles with different artists because I don't know, the way my brain works is like, okay, you have enough content for, releases up till July, but it's like I want to like not let off the gas. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to like I'm saving up more after that because in this day and age, it's all about consistency. Like that's what people want to hear. It's like people could drop dope stuff. Doesn't matter what if you're an artist, if you do podcasting, if you do videos, like if you drop something dope and then like 6 months later, no one hears from you, it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
it's like it's got to be consistent. So yeah, to answer your question, sorry, I'm like rambling.
No,
To
it's
answer
all
your
good.
question, yes, I'm working with a bunch of different artists and I'm saving up features and putting them in the vault, just ready to release them.
So musically, how does God's presence look in your life?
Ooh, good question. Dang, that was good. Musically, how does it look? God's presence. Well, it goes back to the quiet time with Him. When I'm reading, it's like, okay, whatever I feel like God's speaking to me, or something I'm learning from a sermon or a pastor, I want to put it in the songs, put it in the music waves. Like that's actually one of the reasons why I started music in the first place. It's because I believe that audio and video are the two most influential things in this day and age, like what we see and what we hear. So it's like,
For sure.
okay, we got to use that to like preach God's word and get the message out. So yeah, how does it look musically? Just like putting His word in every song, or have some sort of God bend in the lyrics, or just or that's what I'm giving out. But as receiving wise, when I'm listening to different artists I like, or so different worship bands, I feel the presence of God that way.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please subscribe to our show. And if you really enjoy the content, please leave a review. It really does help with the ranking. For all things testimony, visit testimonystories.com. Until next time, I'm Gilika Brown, the music lover constantly seeking positive music.